If you want to learn a language quick, this is how you're going to do it. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, my name is Kalia, and over here we talk about travel and how to learn a language quick, the best way to do it, and the most fun way to do it. I'm here to get rid of all those bumps in the road in the very beginning. Let's get right into it. When you first start learning a language, there's a lot of problems that you may run into. Whether you're a complete beginner or you've been learning for a while, there are a lot of challenges that you may run into. The thing is, making mistakes is part of the process. And the faster you recognize and fix them, the closer you will be to meeting your goals. So let's get ready to break down some of the most common mistakes language learners make when learning a new language. Mistake number one is focusing too much on the grammar. Now, don't get me wrong. Grammar is important, but grammar is not everything. Some of the best language speakers, when they have learned a new language and they have called themselves fluent, still make mistakes. If you're a native English speaker, you trip on your words a lot. We speak fluently, but are we always accurate? No, and that's okay. That's the beauty in it. You're still understood. Many new learners get so caught up into the grammar rules. And let me tell you, this can make you feel very discouraged and unmotivated. You see, the problem is when you focus only on grammar, you're not able to practice the language in its real-world context. Because yes, the grammar is important, but you gotta think about how people speak every single day. The language is not a direct translation. It will not always be a direct translation. You have to see the language through film, through movie. When you know a language, your mind isn't like, okay, subject first, verb next, object last. No, you just know that language. As I'm speaking right now, I'm not memorizing all the grammar structures that there is known to man in English. No, I am speaking. That's what you call fluency. So get up, get out of the classroom, and I bet you those grammar structures will stick so much better when you're using them in the context. So my tip to you is, instead of focusing so heavily on the grammar, start by focusing on speaking and understanding the language in the context. You must listen to native speakers. Repeat the phrases you hear, as you will naturally pick up the grammar the more you immerse yourself. Mistake number two is being afraid to make mistakes. Now listen, this was me in the very beginning, and sometimes it still kind of creeps into my mind, making mistakes, and that nervousness you feel to say something wrong. But let me tell you, the more you make mistakes, the faster you learn. If you constantly like, okay, let me translate this before I say it, I promise you the next time you probably won't remember it as well as you would have had you made the mistake, been corrected in the moment, and then gone back to do it a second time. Honestly, people, you learn from experience. The truth of the matter is, if you're not making mistakes, you're not really learning. That's that. And plus, the fear of making a mistake or speaking the language can actually stunt your growth or your progression in that language. Start speaking from day one, ladies and gentlemen. Do not just say, oh, wait, I'll wait till week 2. Or no, I'll wait till week 3. I'm not ready yet. I'll wait till week 4. Start speaking. Start shadowing. Start practicing. Whether it's a word a day, whether it's you repeating what you hear in the mirror, again and again, trying to perfect that. Start early so that it's muscle memory. The more you practice, the more confident you'll be. And trust me when I tell you, native speakers are usually very understanding, and a lot of the time, they're actually very happy that you've made an attempt to speak their language, so they're willing to help you, or they're willing to guide you in the right direction. Mistake number 3 is not practicing enough listening and speaking. Skipping out on listening and speaking is not the vibe. So many learners dive right into reading and writing. And for what? Trying to speak the language fluently, right? You need to practice all of those categories. Reading, writing, listening, and speaking. You need to practice them just as much, if not more. Whether you believe it or not, language is all about communication. And that means hearing it and speaking it. And yes, listening to native speakers can be intimidating, but the only way to get better is to constantly hear it and speak it. So, if you're intimidated, my advice to you is to listen to music, listen to podcasts, listen to the news, listen to movies and TV shows. I mentioned in one of my last videos about how to use film, music, and TV shows to help you learn a language quick and better your listening skills. And this will definitely help for those who are intimidated, because you don't initially have to speak with a native speaker. You can gain your listening practice through those films, movies, and TV shows. And also, that's a fun and engaging way to do it as well. So guys, you don't need to be perfect, but you do need to practice. Watch TV shows, movies, listen to music, podcasts, lo que sea. Whatever feels interesting and engaging for you, that's what you choose to do. Listen to it. After you're done with it, find a diary, write about what you just listened to, what you just watched, and read it aloud. Get your speaking practice on. Practice your pronunciation if you are so scared to speak in front of a native speaker. After that, after you've done that for a little bit of time, then you can move on to speaking with a native speaker because now you've built your confidence. You've gotten your practice in and you're ready for it. And I know it may sound crazy talking to yourself, but speaking out loud is such a great way to build pronunciation. And building pronunciation just builds your confidence. And trust me, you'll be so ready to speak with that native speaker. Mistake number 4 is overloading yourself with vocabulary. Now I get it. It's so tempting to overload yourself with a million words because you're like, I need to learn this language. I want to learn this language so quick. Tranquila, it's okay. Relax, relax, relax. You should start with building your vocabulary list. Very small. Start small. Start with themes, things that you like. What do you want to be able to say? Do you want to be able to communicate things you like? Okay, well maybe you should start with hobbies. Maybe you should start with sports. Maybe you should start with sentence frames. How can I say I like or I don't like? You gotta start small and then grow, because if not, you're just gonna overwhelm yourself completely, and that's gonna stop you from wanting to learn the language. Plus, when you think about it, there are so many words in the English language, right? But how many words do you think you use a day in the English language? Not a million words. English speakers or speakers of any language probably don't use that many different words in a day, okay? Or in a week, or in a month. We're using the same words again and again because that's how we speak. That's what we've become accustomed to. So think about it. You also don't have to learn that a million different words in the language. There's still so many words in English that I don't know. There's still so many words in Spanish that I don't know, but guess what? I can communicate, because it's all about communicating and, having that dialogue. Because when you don't understand something, just like you are when you're a baby, oh, what do you mean by that? What does that mean? What is that word? And then you know it. Then you learn. That's how you learn. You're going to learn eventually. So only really fill your arsenal of words that you will need. And then with time, you will learn through context. You will learn through experience. So I would say learn common greetings, ways to introduce yourself, ways to express what you like, what you don't like, things like that. And those types of things are building blocks for real world conversation. And make sure you review it regularly so that it sticks. Another tip, make sure you're setting realistic goals. Because there's nothing like you setting a far-fetched goal, you don't reach it, and then you end up quitting the language. This is very typical of not even only with language learners, but in life. When you say you're going to go to the gym, you're going to become this in this many months. The thing is, it's not that your goal wasn't attainable, but it wasn't attainable in the time frame that you set, which also leaves you discouraged. So set attainable goals, or what I call mini goals. Mini goals are goals like, okay, I want to be able to speak, read, or write in 3 months. That's an attainable goal. But to say you'll be fluent in Japanese in 3 months and this is your first time learning a language, I don't really know how attainable. But it's all about you as well. I'm not saying that you cannot reach these goals that you set. Yes, somebody could probably become fluent in Japanese in 3 months, but you have to take into account their work-life balance, how much time they're devoting to learning the language. You have to be smart. Are these goals attainable? The last thing I want you guys to be is frustrated and burnt out because you've set an unattainable goal. Like I said, mini goals are your best friend. I will learn 10 words today. I will learn 10 words from the alphabet today. I will be able to read by the end of the month. Things like this. Make the goals attainable, and I promise your life will be so much better. Mistake number 6, relying too much on translating everything. This helps nobody. For a lot of languages, and for probably many to all of the languages in the world, there is no direct translation between languages. So if you try to translate your whole life, you're going to be in for a long one. You're going to be very, very confused. I know this happened to me specifically when I first got to Spain. I remember many times I would be talking to a native speaker and they would be speaking to me, and the moment that they said a word that I didn't know, blank. I could not think about anything but that word that they just said. And now I'm just sitting here thinking about danke. But they've said a million words after this, and now they're just staring at me because I couldn't even follow the rest of the conversation because I'm so focused on translating everything. I promise you, if you sat there, you had a conversation, it's not about understanding everything. It is not at all about understanding everything. It's about, you know how you summarize, when you summarize a book? It's not about understanding every single detail, but taking away at least something. I bet you will understand. And also that word that you probably don't understand, you can infer if you just listen to the rest of what they're saying. Stop focusing on translating everything. Stop getting frustrated. And also, if you're constantly translating everything, you're not really thinking in the language. You don't want to have to think when you go to say something. Like when I'm at school and, my students are doing something that they're not supposed to be doing, gases. Like, I don't even think. I don't think that it's que is the word what, and haces is you doing. I don't think that at all. I don't think, I need the word hacer. I need the verb hacer to do. What are you doing? No, I just say it. Or when I walk into some buenas, muy buenas, things like this. And it is very, very hard at first. And it's a big hurdle to get over when you're first learning the language. But as long as you take in the language, you hear the language, and you're not so focused heavily on that grammar that we spoke about earlier, it'll be very easy to not always translate in the language. Try your best to think in the target language, even if it's for a few minutes in the day. Imagine you're in your room, you're shuffling through things, you're looking for something important. And you can just sit there and be like, ¿Dónde está mi libro? ¿Dónde está mi libro? Where's my book? Where's my book? It's just as simple things as that. And you'll begin to think in a language, and it'll really be cool when you make this point, or even dream in the language. So that being said, the more you start thinking in the language, the easier it'll be to not translate the language word for word every time you want to speak the language. So there you have it. Those were some of the most common mistakes people make when learning a new language and how to avoid them. To recap, don't get stuck on the grammar rules. Embrace mistakes. Practice listening and speaking, sometimes more than reading and writing. Focus on useful vocabulary. Set realistic and attainable goals. And try to think in the target language. Language learning is a journey, and I know it can be challenging, but it's not impossible. If you avoid all of these mistakes and stay consistent, you'll make incredible progress. It's all about practicing regularly, staying motivated, and having fun with it. This should be fun. This should not be racking your head 24/7. If it's not fun to you and it's getting boring, reevaluate your learning style. So if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button, comment down below any questions you may have in regards to learning a language or traveling cheap. And also stay tuned for my next video for the best resources for language learners, both old and new. And also click that notification bell because I will be releasing an ebook that helps you learn a language in 90 days. And also, I have a study plan that goes along with it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.